And next we have Chris
Yeah.
Kiernan, who is going to tell us about the Greater Sum in Jacksonville, Florida. Go ahead, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Hey, I'm Chris, she, her, them. I work with the Greater Sum, and the Greater Sum is not necessarily a Jacksonville-based organization, but we do work heavily here. The Greater Sum acts as an incubator for you, like, I would say within like the first 4 years of becoming a nonprofit, what we do is we advocate for you. We connect you logistically with communications on budgeting, on legalities, on fundraising, on marketing. And we also help with people that are thinking about possibly becoming a nonprofit. There's a huge disconnect and a huge misinformation spreader of the amount of nonprofits that we should have. It's not necessarily up to us to dictate who could be a nonprofit or who shouldn't be a nonprofit. But when people come to us seeking recommendations and advice, a lot of times they don't qualify as a nonprofit. And these are things that people wouldn't necessarily know if people didn't ask. So that's something that we also do is we support the community in steering them in the correct direction. And if in fact they are quality nonprofit, recommendation from us, what we will do is once you have become a nonprofit, we will take bids for a incubator program. And this year, what we have done is we did it a little different and we raised $50,000 and we are going to match all of our incubators, which are 9 of them that have actually passed through the annual summit. And what that is that our nonprofit donors get to vote on which nonprofits are going to be their favorites. And then what they do is they donate money to these nonprofits and the Greater Sum matches up to $50,000. And so last year we did the same thing and we raised $70,000 for our nonprofits and then an additional $50,000 for them. So and we don't necessarily benefit from that, right? And something that we have been talking about a lot with nonprofits, and I'm not trying to go further into this, I know you guys have a time restriction, but we have decided as a nonprofit coalition of women, it's not on purpose, but it totally is just women. We have decided that we're gonna make it our core promise that we will always live by what is right. So we don't want to work a 40-hour work week because it's not healthy. So we have made a point that we work no more than 25 hours a week, period. We make a point to spend time with our family and put them first. We also make it a point to have equal opportunities when it comes to holidays. So instead of saying, hey, these are the holidays you have off, we give you 5 holidays plus an additional 6 if you'd like, and you get to pick where you go. You get to pick how much time you spend off work. You can go unpaid as long as you want. But if you decide that you need a hiatus from that day and you need a mental day, we will pay you. We do things the way that a real, honest organization should do things, which is why I am absolutely in love with this organization. And I actually work their media and social marketing. And I actually work with their graphic designs and their choices of colors. And I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it's who do we want to speak to, right? And we have found in the last year that our biggest demographic is 45-year-old women. And so that tells me that the majority of people that are donating to nonprofits in the Jacksonville area, the Houston area, the Savannah area, and the New York area are 45-year-old women. So those are the statistics we've gone about. So we have made it a point to bring in Black and brown women who have really great ideas for nonprofits, and we help them to make sure that they don't get into legal problems. They spend their money in the right ways. They document how they spend their money. and keep them out of being investigated. Statistics show that 70% of audits of nonprofits are Black and brown. So that is all. Y'all have
Thank
any
you.
questions?
I have one.
Sure.
Has Florida's People Party been using Chris for our nonprofit so far?
Are we-
Have they
I'm-
reached,
Nonprofit
they reached-
organization.
have they reached you, Chris? Hello?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, yes, Carolyn is definitely, I mean, Carolyn and I have known each other for years. So
Oh, okay.
the answer is yes, we have a connection. So anything you guys need, if you need help with like graphics and stuff, I'm here for you.
Well, again, as far as money and stuff, I think People Party could use that since we're nonprofits and you guys being so productive and active doing what you do. I
We
think
would
that would be-
definitely not invest in any type of political organization at this time.
Oh, even though we're nonprofit.
No, it doesn't matter at this point. We're only contributing to innovative ideas that are going to better the
Gotcha.
lives of Black and brown people. And not to say that the People's Party is not that. I'm just saying that it is a pretty hefty incubator program. Not to say that it's not achievable, but you guys are always welcome to submit to our incubator, because we do have a yearly summit, and that summit literally just shows off all of the nonprofits, what they have to offer, and then all of our donors get to see y'all. And then at that point, they can make that decision. But I personally don't have the power to say, yes, I would love to have you in the incubator, because it is probably like a 4-month process.
I guess I missed the
Then
part. the part.
political parties don't qualify as nonprofits in that sense.
No, they'd have to be a 501c4, and we don't support 501c4.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay. So, Chris, could you just expand a little bit? I noticed that I heard you on the radio the other night talking about retreads or rethreads. Could you just tell us a little bit about that program you helped start in Jacksonville?
Well, I didn't help start it. I did not help start it. So what it is it's like, I mean, I didn't help start it, so I don't want to really go into it, but I just actually lit dropped that location, like, I think the day before yesterday. And I was like, oh, look here, this is cute. So the Threads is like, I think it's like an abuse refuge, right? So when people are victims of abuse in general, we tend to back down, but when it is a victim of sexual abuse, we become mute as a whole. And what we see statistics wise, people that are victims of sexual abuse live on average of 15 years less than the average person. And it is because of stress and induced social anxieties, inability to be able to conform to the social norm. So what that opportunity is it is an anonymous way for women to go and to uplift each other and go for refuge, but it also is a way to also monetarily pick people up off their butts and help them. I hate to say to be a contributing member of society, because I do not believe that is true. But it helped them to at least get on their feet to get a housing situation. But there's a lengthy, bigger explanation for that organization, and I feel like I have not done it any justice. So, like, to wrap it up, I work in the community. I am a community advocate. So I have worked for the last 5-6 years now with Take 'em Down Jacks, which is an organization that removes Confederate monuments from public spaces. And we have been very successful. Fighting white supremacy in Jacksonville, Florida is like fighting Jim Crow all over again. And it's been a long battle. It has been a long battle, but it has helped me be a little bit more well-rounded. And this nonprofit that I work with right now, I actually ran into them by canvassing to talking about taking the Confederate monuments down. And my boss, Anna, was like, oh my God, I love you. What can you do for us? So that is literally how I picked myself up by my non-existent bootstraps and tried to release myself back into the community after being victim of violence. So it all comes together in itself. But I think that being a community advocate has really changed my life. It's how I met Carolyn. It's how I've been introduced to the People's Party because I was a huge Bernie girl and still kind of am a little bit. And so, I think nonprofit sectors are abused in the community. And that is why I'm very choosy about who I work with. I appreciate a lot of LGBTQIA communities, nonprofits in my community. We have a lot of them. But I have to say, at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of nonprofits. I want to be very clear about that. And I was very clear about that with Carolyn. I do not like nonprofits. I think 90% of them are a scam. And I don't think that they should all be nonprofits. So I think that's a huge issue in society right now.
Thanks, Chris. That was wonderful.